Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to United versus Everybody. I am your host, Sean, and zero time to rest, not even really any time to take a quick five or even just a couple breaths between Everton and Arsenal because we are back in action tomorrow for a midweek Premier League fixture against the Gunners. It's going to be an early test for Ruben Amorim. He's only got 3 games under his belt as United manager, so hitting the ground running here so far. Let's see if he can kind of sink or swim this. But we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about the press conferences. We're going to talk about tactics, what we can expect from Arsenal, maybe how we'd like to set up. I've got my formation. I know you guys have yours. We're going to talk score predictions. Of course, as always, we're going to jump a little bit with some news first, but it is going to be a big match, and I'm excited to hear your thoughts on it. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. Arsenal have pretty much been nearly Rans for a couple seasons now under Mikel Arteta, but we haven't actually beaten the Gunners since Ten Hag's very first season in charge. Amorim will have a few chances to correct that because if you guys haven't seen, we've also drawn Arsenal in the next round of the FA Cup. So awesome for that. I mean, our lucky cup runs that we've had for the last couple of years, it was going to run out. It doesn't seem like Cities and Liverpools and all them have run out because these guys are playing like Salfords and somebody like, I don't even remember, Altrincham or something. I don't know, but we're going to see how it goes. Obviously, everyone will cry conspiracy. I'm not going to cry conspiracy. We had some tough cup draws for a while, and then we had some easy ones. And now it swings and roundabouts and all that, right? So I think that when it comes to Arsenal, though, like I said, they've been nearly Rans for a couple seasons now. Everyone is continually hypes them up. I've seen other channels talking about how scary they are and how this is their year, this is the year. And they've been saying this for 5 years now. I just don't get it. They haven't won anything since Arteta took over. He won that FA Cup with Unai Emery's players, and they've not done anything since. Since he has pretty much been handed the reins, he and Edu have been controlling that rebuild, basically. They've just been bottle jobs. They've just always so close, but yet so far, right? We've won more in our worst decade than Arsenal have in that same time period. Hell, we've won more in the last 2 years than Arsenal have under Arteta, and 3 times as long. So I just don't get it, but it is what it is. I say all that, but they're still probably going to be favorites going into this, right? We're struggling early this season. We've got a new manager. We're still figuring things out. We've got players come back from injury, and Arsenal have been continually kind of winning matches and whatnot. But that being said, Arsenal are going to be under way more pressure than us to come away with 3 points tomorrow because of the differences in where the two clubs are at right now, not only in the rebuild, but in the form and everything. The pressure is all on Arsenal. City are struggling. Arsenal really need to take that next step under Arteta, or you have to believe maybe the murmurs, the grumbles, and their fan base are going to start to grow. For us, it's almost a case of we can't lose, right? No one expects a ton out of us right now. We're all hyped and everything. And of course, we all want 3 points, but it's one of the things where if we get it, it's awesome and it makes Arsenal look bad. But if we don't win, it won't. Like, no one will have expected it, is that case. But we're going to take a look at how we can best set up to get the 3 points, what we can expect to see from Arsenal. We're going to look at what Ruben Amorim has had to say. We're going to look at Arsenal's form, some of the tactics they employ. But again, first, we're going to talk about transfer news. But before we get into all that, please go over to the Puskas website. And I think United put out a link this morning too. But go over to the Puskas website and go vote for Alejandro Garnacho's bicycle kick against Everton. He was nominated. Go vote for that if you want to see our star boy get his award. But like the video, subscribe to the channel. If you are new, we're going to dive in today and start things off with a little bit of transfer news. So it didn't take long, if you remember, for the Victor Gyökeres rumors to start once Ruben Amorim was appointed as our manager. And now, though, some big names are chiming in as far as the Gyökeres rumors go. Florian Plettenberg, so Plettigol, he is reporting that United have held concrete talks with Sporting regarding a summer move for Gyökeres, but we have to apparently raise funds by selling players first. This sounds familiar. That seems to be the case for us every year. A lot of people have been talking about Gyökeres. I've talked about Gyökeres. Remember, I did that scouting report a couple of years ago when he was at Coventry. I love Gyökeres. I don't see it happening personally. But we're going to see what happens. I mean, I think I like what I see from Højlund. Xerxes firing. Rashford's been scoring goals for fun. Yamad's in great form. Garnacho always seems to pop up with a goal. I don't think a striker, I mean, obviously everyone is going to want a big striker, and I'm never going to turn down a big striker. It's just a matter of looking at funds as well, because that's one of the factors that we have to look into right now. Ineos are cutting costs all over the place. We have to sell a lot of homegrown players just to buy players. Remember McTominay and stuff. I just don't see it happening when you look at it in comparison to priorities in the squad right now. So I wouldn't want to spend that much on one striker when we have other priorities that we haven't even really handled for a couple of years, such as like left back and stuff. So plus, we're going to be losing a lot of players potentially for free this summer. We're going to have to replace them. Someone like Eriksen, we've got Lindelof, Evans, Maguire potentially all leaving as well. Talks of maybe Dalot, maybe even Rashford moving on. We're going to see, but I wouldn't want us to go below that on a striker when I think there's other needs. But you guys let me know what your thoughts are. We've spoken about it a few times, but just want to report on the news. Sticking with Plettenberg, he's also reported that we are now interested in RB Leipzig left back David Raum, who United believe is a very good fit for Ruben Amorim's system. I remember I had David Raum on my list a few months back when I was looking at left back targets, talking a lot about Luke Shaw. I really like David Raum. I think he's a very good left back. He does suit the system very well. Plettenberg says United held concrete talks with Raum over the summer. So we've been linked to a lot of left backs over the last 3 or 4 or 5 months. The names just keep popping up. Raum popping up. Theo Hernandez is popping up. Alphonso Davies. A lot of names. So if you guys like Raum, let me know. I really am a big fan. But I think he's like 27 now. So like Theo Hernandez, kind of like Anthony Robinson. A little older, but we'll see what happens there. Moving on. So Patrick Berger, he has added another name for United to be linked with, and this time it's more high up the pitch in midfield, and it is Frankfurt's midfielder Hugo Larsson. I really like Hugo Larsson. I think he's an excellent player. Patrick Berger claims United are among a host of top European clubs who are keeping an eye on the 20-year-old Swedish midfielder. But reports claim it's going to take 50 million euros for Frankfurt to part ways with Larsson. It's a lot of money for a midfielder, for one midfielder, in my opinion, when there are a couple other options out there that probably wouldn't cost as much and could be just as good. I think Larsson has a very high ceiling. I really like what I've seen from him so far, and he's still very young. But we'll see. It is one of the positions we are going to need to strengthen in the summer, I think, midfield. We've got Ugarte, we've got Casemiro. It's still up in the air what's going to happen with Casemiro. Eriksen looks like he's for sure leaving. Kobbie Mainoo. We are going to need bodies in midfield. I don't know if Collier is ready quite yet, and if he's going to be the level that we need. We do have a couple of the youngsters, but again, with Kone, with Fletcher, and these guys, I would like someone with a little bit of experience as well. But you guys let me know what you think of these rumors with Hugo Larsson. Sticking with Patrick Berger for a second, he also claims that RB Leipzig have singled out Erik ten Hag on their shortlist to replace Marco Rosa in case he is sacked. So Leipzig are struggling this season. They have no wins in their last 6 matches in all competitions, just 1 draw. They're also 34th of 36 in the Champions League. They have 0 wins, 0 points in the Champions League right now. So right now, if you look at the table where it stands with how many matches are left, they cannot qualify automatically. They can still make it to the next kind of knockout round kind of situation. And they're 4th in the Bundesliga. But Bundesliga right now is kind of like the Premier League, where like 2nd place to like 13th, 14th is like a 5-6 point difference. So it is a bit of a precarious position for Leipzig if they don't start turning things around, especially considering their form right now. I think Ten Hag could do very well at Leipzig. It's a club with a very good structure. I think that with a good structure behind him, he can do it. I think that his system could maybe work a little bit better in the Bundesliga. But you guys, let me know your thoughts. I know we don't talk about Ten Hag a whole lot because he's not here anymore. But just want to report the news, get your thoughts on that. And then big up Joshua Zirkzee. Zirkzee was actually named in the AIC's Serie A Team of the Year for 23-24 season, so last year. So I know we've talked a little bit about Zirkzee. He had a very good match against Everton. He's been struggling a bit to kind of acclimatize to the Premier League and the new team and stuff since joining, but Sunday was a big step up for him. Hopefully he can keep it up, but it seems like his performances last year in the Italian league have warranted a spot for him in the Serie A Team of the Season. So big up Joshua Zirkzee for that. Congratulations. let's dive into the match here because we got a lot to go over here today. So we'll start with Arsenal. So Arsenal are in decent form at the moment. In their last 5 matches, their last three results have all been wins. They have a 1-1 draw against Chelsea thrown in there, and then they lost to Inter in the Champions League as well. They are second in the Premier League right now. They are only, though, just 6 points ahead of us. So again, people who were freaking out early in the season about where we were in the table did not ever look at the points, because the points between like second and down in like 15th, 16th are minuscule. A couple good results sees us jump here and there. It's insane. But they are just 6 points ahead of us. They are only 9 points behind Liverpool. As far as their team goes, it looks like they could be without Ben White. He is suffering from maybe sunburn from his new tanning bed. I don't know, but he's out for a while. Thomas Partey, Tomiyasu, Mikel Moreno, they are all still question marks for this one. Gabriel and Calafiore could both be missing as well. They both picked up knocks against West Ham, and they both subbed off like around the halftime, 50 some odd minute ago. So still yet to be seen. I know Arteta is doing his press conference today, so maybe he'll have some news, but they could all be out. If they are playing, they might not be fully fit, but we'll see. If those players are still out, I do imagine Arsenal are probably going to line up in that 4-2-3-1, and then maybe move into a 4-3-3 during the match, depending as they typically do. With the players out, we could probably see a midfield of Rice, Jorginho, and Odegaard, and that, again, will fluidly move between a 4-3-3 and a 4-2-3-1. Rice does have license to get forward. Odegaard's kind of all over the place, and Jorginho does a good job of kind of cleaning up. I expect we'll see Saka, Havertz, and Martinelli leading the attack because they've been in good form recently. I expect if Calafiore is out, probably something of like Saliba, Timber, Kivior, maybe Zinchenko, all in that back line as well. So we're going to see. We're sweating on their fitness. We know they are, but we're going to see what happens with them. But that's typically how they're going to set up. And they have a few different ways that they can hurt you, Arsenal. Odegaard, obviously, is the linchpin in that team. He is very good at finding his teammates in the box. He's got a great passing range, great vision. He just makes these situations from nothing. He finds them with crosses. He finds them with passes. He's very good at passing in the off rhythm with either foot, which catches you off guard. Saka, if you give Saka time and space to cut inside, he will likely get that shot off, and more often than not, he's going to score. So he's done us with that once or twice now. Whoever is guarding him, whoever is playing left back, needs to just not give him an inch of space. Obviously not follow him too much because he likes to get in the box, but we need to just be alert to that. And then, of course, Arsenal love themselves some set pieces. In fact, since the start of last season, Arsenal have scored 20 set piece goals, the most in the league for that. And Gabriel has scored 5. So as he's fit, you can bet that he will be a danger man on those set pieces. Arsenal do look much better now that Odegaard is back in the side. Hate him all you want, but Odegaard is very, very, very good. He gets around the pitch. He makes things happen. Saka is going to cause problems. I might start Mazraoui on the left side for this one, maybe instead of Dalot, but we'll see. They're very good at using these cutbacks. Saka can get up to the byline and put a flash across a ball in the goal, whether it's the penalty spot, the edge of the box. Arsenal love to. It's kind of like City from like 5 seasons ago when the plan was to just put a ball across the box and have a couple different like levels of runners coming in to finish that off. So we need to keep a lookout for that, especially because those are the kind of goals that we tend to concede, these simple cutback goals. We've been doing it for a couple of years now. Arsenal are also not afraid to use a little bit of the dark arts. We've seen David Raya take an age to kick the ball. They actually lead the league when it comes to the delays in those goal kicks. They actually also lead the league in the average time of delaying the game all around. They are just an expert at killing time. They also are not afraid to go to ground easily or suddenly pull up with cramp or injuries out of nowhere when they want to disrupt the momentum. So we have to, whoever's captain that day, probably Bruno if he starts right, he's going to have to get in the ref's ear and kind of remind him like, hey, come on, what are we doing here? They do like to prevent teams from restarting. They like to block the free kicks. They love to kick the ball away, apparently. We've seen that a couple yards. They've actually got 6 yellows this year for those sort of offenses, delaying the restart of the game. And so they like to do that. They like to just control the time by disrupting momentum, the delaying things, going down easily. So we'll need to get in the ref's ear, and we'll need to keep him on top of that. And then don't forget about those pickpockets. They do love themselves a pickpocket. So it is what it is. So what has Ruben Amorim said ahead of this matchup? So he's hinted that we might finally see Lenny Yoro after months and months. It's been 4 months out now. Amorim praised Yoro's speed, his ability to defend in a high line. He said he's probably going to be in the squad, and so we could finally see Lenny Yoro. We have. He said that we have one more training session. I feel he's in a good moment now. His fitness is better. I think he's going to be in the squad. Amorim also confirmed Bruno will be ready after. So a lot of people were worried. Bruno was pictured with a big ice bucket thing on his foot after being subbed off against Everton. But Amorim said he's fine. He just spoke to him. Two names who definitely won't be in the squad, though, for this one are Lisandro Martinez and Kobbie Mainoo. Both picked up too many yellows already this season, including one each against Everton, which means they are going to miss this one due to suspension. So kind of a bummer there, but it is what it is. This is what happens. And I complained about this early in the season when Ten Hag was kind of forcing Kobbie to play a little deeper. Yes, his interceptions are good and stuff, but it was also his inexperience there was also seeing him pick up a lot of yellows from trying to catch up to players. So what else have we had here? So he was asked, Amorim, can you explain why the press conference is at Old Trafford? Usually the press conference is at Carrington. He said, we had a meeting with the staff trying to connect everybody. This facility, the people that are here are far from Carrington. You're trying to build a connection to be closer, Carrington and the stadium, and that was the reason. Good morning, Slash. How are you, my guy? Just jumping on this morning. Had a lot going on today. So we're doing the preview, man. Get your thoughts in. Get ahead of this. We're just going through Ruben Amorim's press conference at the moment. We'll get into the starting 11 and whatnot later. But get your thoughts in. Good morning. Ineos have brought some positives and some growing pains too with difficult decisions. Amorim was asked, how important is it that everyone is together and moving in the right direction? And Amorim said, that is something you cannot buy, the pedigree and the size of the club. That's what I've always said about Man City. This is something we have to use. It's a key point for us. Also improving the youth teams, creating a connection between everybody to put this club in the place it needs to be. So, again, he's speaking about Lenny Yoro. We've already spoken about that. So he was asked about Arsenal. He was asked, is Arsenal, in your opinion, the biggest challenge you've faced yet going to the Emirates? He said, yeah, it's the best team. It's the best team that we faced by far, but the test is every game. If you see the last game yesterday, it was really tough. It's a 4-0, but you see the game like I see it. Every game is now a test without so many minutes to train. Trying to manage the number of minutes with so many players, you cannot try to imagine one game. He says you have to know some players might have to be out of the pitch 60, 70 minutes, so it's hard. Everything is a test, but Arsenal, to say they are at a different point in their team. They are in a different moment. Again, similar to what Ten Hag was saying and what I've already said, and in terms of where the clubs are at, and this is what I said yesterday when it comes to Arne Slot in Liverpool. Arne Slot, you could have picked almost any half-decent manager to come into Liverpool who played a similar system, and they would have been doing pretty much what Arne Slot's doing now. Arsenal are at a very different point in their rebuild. And you can say that, the last 10 years or the last year, really, we are, for the first time this season, actually doing a rebuild the way it's supposed to be done. And so we've spent a lot of money over the last decade, yes, but we've not spent it well, and we've not spent it with a plan. We now are starting to do that. We're targeting young players. We're getting rid of some of the players who are earning a lot, who are a little older. We're starting a proper rebuild. And like Amorim is saying, Arsenal are at a different point as well. So that's going to play into it as well. And he says, he was asked, testing yourself against a challenge like Arsenal, especially away, what will you want to see from your players this week? And he said, it's important to be brave. When I say brave, it's not pressing all the time higher. It's not the same. You have to understand the moments of the game. We need to have the ball. That is a key point. We want to have the ball. We also want to dominate some moments. And because we know that in these matches, it's hard to control the game. If I have to say something, we have to be brave and we have to control the game. Yeah, on his point about pressing, it's what I've been saying for a while. Pressing is not just running around. It's knowing when, knowing how, understanding those kind of things. We said that yesterday. And he has lamented a couple times our inability to keep control of the ball, to dominate the game. We lose it too easily, and we struggle when that happens. So we want to just be a little smarter, be a little bolder, but also be just careful with that. He was asked about Bruno, and again, he said, no, he's fit to play. I see him already this morning. He's fit. He's a guy that doesn't need a lot of rest. You know him. He's prepared. So he was asked about the chance. A lot of people are going in on this. This is the thing you get at United. So he was asked about the chance, and he gave an answer. But then websites like the Manchester Evening News are going to run with it and lead with a headline like that says literally, Amorim doesn't like chant. He doesn't want chanting. Like, that's not what he meant. So he's asked about the chance, and he says, no, I don't like my chant. I don't like it. I feel a little bit not embarrassed, but because I'm the coach. So basically, he goes on to say, I want them to chant for the players and for the club, but not for me. Like, I'm not doing anything, basically. Um, he says, the players are on the pitch. I'm on the outside of the pitch. I feel honored, and I want that connection, but we want them to cheer the players. It's insane. And that's pretty much it for the presser. Not a whole lot going on again. Not much time in between. So again, like Amorim said a few times now, we need to be better in possession and dominate the ball a bit more. We just lose it too easily. If Gabriel and Saliba start, like, I don't want to see Højlund trying to wrestle them for 90 minutes with his back to goal. I don't want that. That's not his best like characteristics. If that happens, I'd love to see us awarded a penalty this time if Gabriel fouls Højlund in the box. I mean, if that's okay with the refs on the day, that would be awesome. Speaking of, how that pull on Ahmad against Everton wasn't given as a penalty is beyond me. That was a clear pen. Arsenal are going to press. It will cause us problems because not only do we shit ourselves when we play a pressing side, but we want too much time on the ball sometimes, especially guys like Dallo and whatnot. They need to move the ball a little faster. I don't want to see Eriksen in midfield. We'll get to the starting 11 shortly. So, like, when they played Inter, for instance, in the Champions League, Inter worked very, very hard off the ball. They did not give Arsenal an inch of space. They beat them 1-0. This means for us, whoever starts in midfield needs to have energy, needs to have some physicality, needs to be able to read the situation, sniff out danger, to cut out these options and really swarm Arsenal when we get a chance. Our defenders need to resist the urge to rush out too far. If you remember that Champions League match against Inter, their defense was really, really disciplined and really compact. They were patient. They made it really hard. There was a lot of clearances, a lot of blocks, a lot of shots from outside the box from Arsenal. We need to not, I don't want to see guys like Lissandro rushing up to midfield to challenge. Let's chill, wait until the situation comes to you. Okay, you're very good at reading the game. You're very good on the ball. You're very good at making those challenges. We don't want to see you rush 30 yards up the pitch to do it. It leaves us exposed. Arsenal moved the ball very, very well. We can't leave space like that. Given the suspensions, given the rotated and rested players and everything for the Everton match, and the form of the players in the squad now, this is how I'd like to see us line up right now. So you guys let me know what you think here. This is what I'm going with. I'm going with Onana in goal, obviously. We know Leach is suspended, so Shaw's been getting some more minutes. I'm actually starting Shaw on this one on the left-hand side where Leach is. I think he can read the game very well. I think that he's shown that many, many times. Obviously, De Ligt. I'm going to start Mazraoui again. I've got a midfield, actually, of Ugarte and Bruno, if you can see there. I think Bruno did very well. I think a lot of us have spoken, and I know Danny said this a couple times now, that he likes him in the 8. I worry sometimes when Bruno is in the double pivot and not in like a 4-3-3-8 that it leaves us a little exposed. But he actually did pretty well against Everton and even against Bodo Glimt. He was dropping deep. He was making interceptions. He was doing what he needed to do. And I like him on the ball. And I think with someone like Ugarte next to him instead of like Casemiro or something, I think that Bruno doesn't have to do as much. Ugarte is going to do a lot of that legwork for him, and I think that that's going to work out pretty well. I don't think that this is the game that I'd start Dallo in personally, but that's probably who we're going to see. But if you see, I've actually put Antony on the left wing back spot, and I think people are sleeping on Antony. So I think that he had an actually good match last week against Bodo Glimt. He won a lot of tackles, a lot of duels. He completed the most dribbles. It was his first match in a month. I think people are forgetting that as well. He did fade a little bit in the first half, but I think that's because he hadn't played in like a month. But I think I'd like to see Antony starting again. He did very, very well. Obviously, Ahmad is his first name on the starting 11 these days. I think a case could be made if you look at that back line, maybe Maguire could start, but I think Shaw is probably the more fit of the two, and I think that he's a like for like Leach replacement. Um, I think that when you're looking at the attack now, I have Rashford and Mount as the 210s. So Rashford is in a good piece of form. Mount showed a lot against Bodo Glimt in that second half. He struggled a bit in that first half, but in the second half, he was a man possessed. Obviously, Rashford did very well against Everton. I think that there's an argument that can be made that playing Rashford and Højlund together could be a bit redundant, sort of like playing Bruno and Eriksen together in a midfield. So an argument can be made for putting Xerxes as one of the 10s, I think, as well. But we will see. Obviously, Xerxes was on fire against Everton, but Højlund was also on fire against Bodo Glimt, and he was rested. So Amorim has been rotating a bit, so I imagine we'll see a couple changes. And of course, if things aren't going well, if people are struggling, if the match isn't going the way we want it to, Amorim won't hesitate to make changes. He'll adjust his tactics or his setup in the match depending on how the situation is going, which we've seen many, many times. So that is my team. Onana, Mazraoui, De Ligt, Shaw, Ugarte, Bruno in the pivot, Ahmad, Antony on the wide positions, Rashford, Mount in the 10s, and then Højlund up top. You guys let me know what your starting 11 would be, because that is mine. Danny, big up. Danny jumping in. How are you, my friend? We are almost just wrapping up now. We're just going through my starting 11 at the moment. Hope you are doing well this morning. But that's my starting 11. I think it's a good starting 11. You guys let me know what you think. And let me know what you guys are thinking for the score line here. Get your predictions in the chat for the score. So I'm actually going to go with 2-2. I think that I don't see us winning at all, but I also don't see us being completely turned over, despite the differences in form, despite the new managers, despite the rested players. I think that we could see a 2-2, and Danny agrees. Danny, you and I are like on the same page when it comes to score predictions. Danny, let me know who you'd start in the chat, bud. I think we could very easily concede a cheap like cutback goal or a set piece goal. Arsenal are very dangerous on both of those, and those are exactly the kind of goals that we struggle against. And I think definitely if Dalot starts on the left again, I think he's going to have a hard time trying to mark Saka, because we know that Dalot is just not the great when it comes to that kind of defending. But I could be wrong, but that's why I started Antony. I think Antony has shown that he can be a little bit more physical. And like I said, against Bodo Glimt that first half, he was just he had a great first half. So now he's got some minutes under his belt and he's had a little bit of a rest. I think we could see that. But you guys let me know. Danny says probably same team, maybe Dalot over Antony. Yeah, it could go either way. It's just funny that I think that Antony as a winger is defensively better than Dalot, who is a fullback, but it is what it is. Like I said, you guys let me know. Let me know your score predictions. Let me know who you'd like to see start. And don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe. We are very, very, very close to 2K subscribers. I checked it yesterday because I hadn't checked it in a little while, and it was mind-boggling to me how much it's grown recently. I'm just going to check it again while we're live, because we're not that far from 2K. And you guys know that when we do get to 2K, this is the 2K giveaway. This is the 21-22 home shirt. It is a large, as you can see on the tag. It is brand new. That'll be going out to one of you guys when we hit that mark. But we are not that far away. We are only 8 subscribers away from 2K, guys. You could be the subscribers that put us over that mark. You could be the ones that get somebody to the giveaway. So do it with your help. You guys make the channel what it is. Like I always say, it is your channel. But to get involved in those giveaways, just get involved in the channel. Leave some comments. Get involved in the chat. I take the names from people I see getting involved in everything, the new comments and stuff. I put them in a big wheel online and I spin it, and that's how we select the winner. So I know, pretty low tech, but that's how I roll. So in any case, thank you guys for stopping by today. That is going to do it for me. If you weren't able to catch the live, don't worry about it. Get your score predictions and your starting lineups in the comments. I will, respond to all of them, and then enjoy the match tomorrow. I think it's either the under 21s or the under 18s play tomorrow as well. Maybe they play today. No, they play today. Sorry. So I don't know if that match is going to be on MUTV or not. And then both the first team play this weekend and the youngsters play this weekend on Saturday. So that'd be a good match. But wherever you guys are watching it from, enjoy your day. I will see you guys probably Thursday for the match reaction. But till then, take it easy, stay warm, and I will talk to you later. Bye.